morning. Thank you for the nice introduction and for inviting me to present this project today. I know that I'm separating you from lunch, so I will be brief. And basically, I'll say one thing. I will present the SYNCHROS project that Barbara Kensten has already mentioned. This is another initiative trying to do the same thing as the International Cohort Initiative, trying to put together existing or future cohorts. And I will focus on some complementarities and synergies with this project and other projects that have been presented, like the Welcome project by Dr. Da Silva. And I have listened this President Johansson this morning, and he gave very important clues on how to do this. No, we need to do this with hope that we will be able to do something, with modesty and dialogue, because not only we are not experts, but we need to learn from others. And we need to do this also feeling the duty of using the money that have been given to us with responsibility. This is what is called in the European calls coordination and support action. That means projects that do not aim to produce research results, but to put in contact with stakeholders and make proposals for future research, or to facilitate the access to research infrastructures for other researchers. So there was one of these calls published about 1 year ago, recognizing the existence of many cohorts in Europe and beyond, but also the relatively lack of a strategy for taking advantage of all those initiatives, and also the need of doing that to advance in personalized medicine. This is the scope. I mean, each call in the European Union has a scope, which means all the issues that need to be covered by the initiative, and the scope is usually very ambitious. So let's see how we can cover this. And this is the scope of this call was map the cohort landscape in Europe and beyond, to identify best strategies for cohort integrations, to promote the harmonization of past and future data collection. And this is also not only using data that has already been collected, but what should we do to facilitate future initiative or future projects, foster the inclusion of data emerging from new technologies, promote best practices, and contribute to the definition of an international strategic agenda. I think that one of the benefits from this meeting is to be able to create this network and complementarity, since, as you see, the objectives are very ambitious. So the final aim of this project will be to define a global universal approach to optimize cohort study data by means of a strategy for integrating European and international health cohorts that could be population-based, patient-based, or clinical-based, or clinical trial cohorts. So this is one of the important differences with existing initiative, in that we will focus not only in population representative cohorts, but also in patient cohorts and clinical trial cohorts, and doing this merging across different settings, which is, I think at this stage, quite ambitious. We are 11 partners from 6 European countries, and we have 2 advisory boards, one more scientific and the other more ethical and legal. This is our projects, as you know, are organizing work packages. So we have 8 work packages. For the first 6 months, we will be developing this cohort landscape in Europe and large international initiatives. And we're doing this by getting information on, one, existing cohorts, and second, on existing initiative to take advantage of pulling together cohorts. No? And here we not only, as I said, focus in population and patient cohorts, but also we do not limit our effort in the size of the cohort. There are many existing projects focusing, for example, in life cohorts or cohorts of the elderly that include thousands of individuals, but not hundreds of thousands. And we also think that they could be a valuable research. We could be valuable for research. We also have another debate that hopefully we will be able to solve during the 3 years of the study, which is how small should we go, no? Because also integrating cohorts require an effort, and there is so much that you can achieve. Hopefully, by making recommendations of future for future cohorts, we will be able to take advantage even of these small cohorts. So, as I said, the first thing we are doing is this mapping of the cohort landscape, and then we will have 3 work packages, one of them focusing on the methodological issues in harmonizing and integrating data, the other in the practical, ethical, and legal issues, and the other in the possibilities of new technologies in recruiting this data. And we have already seen from this, all of us, project, know that this is actually a very promising area. With all this, we want to write what we name strategy briefs that will be consensus documents, and have that as a basis for discussion with the stakeholder groups, scientists, clinicians, funders, and also civil associations. And hopefully we will be obtaining a strategy that will be coordinated with another efforts, and that could be useful for funding agencies to direct future funding efforts. As I said, I want to be brief and do not repeat things. I think that in many ways our projects overlap, and another of the aspects that we need to focus is in these ethical, legal, and practical aspects. Ethical and legal because the regulation across the globe is different, and we know that this causes difficulties in sharing data. And another of the aspects that we want to focus on is the practical aspects that facilitate or limit cooperation. No, we also learned this morning, or heard this morning, that cooperation is not the standard sometimes. And we also want to discuss in depth with the stakeholders how we can foster cooperation. No, and I think one of the strategies is to establish ways of recognizing this cooperation. No, for example, there are many initiatives that collect data, and we are reusing the data, and the generators of the data need to be recognized somehow, and this, I think, will facilitate the sharing of the data in everyone. So the project has 3 phases. This one is the analysis of the situation. The second one is the proposal, and the third one will be the definition of the sustainable strategy. I hope that we can collaborate and with the other initiative, and also with the existing investigators that are here. And I think that this is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Toru Masui from Keio University. My question is about how, you mentioned about the boundary challenge of ethical issues, or the legal issues, or the regulatory issues between countries. But if we found it's very difficult to overcome certain kind of compliance of ethical issues in collaboration or data sharing. So how do you overcome that kind of program in?
Yeah, the question is very good, and the answer is I don't know. In the sense that we are starting the project, we started this January, something I didn't mention, that this is a 3-year project. As you say, there are many legal things, no? Now there is an advancement in Europe with the anonymization of data and the possibilities of sharing anonymized data for research. So I think that there is some advancements in that, but I have no answer because, as you say, there are many different laws and regulations across the globe.
Thank you.
A question for you. When you see you're coming at the end of these 3 sessions and knowing, okay.
Oh.
Just a question is, I was struck as sitting there and watching the presentations coming on top of the IHCC being here. So when you see, what do you think is going to be the biggest problem for all of us in keeping connected and synergized, not duplicating the work?
I think that there are 3 issues, no? One is money. And what is money? And it's difficult to get stable money for doing things, no? Because that's the one very important issue. And the other is the technical issues. I mean, it's not that, I mean, we have done also a harmonization of cohorts in another project, and technically this is very difficult to do because we are getting information which is, I mean, we try to get similar information, but the information is obtained by very different ways, no? And there are unsolved issues like the omics data, no? I mean, the genetics data has advanced a lot. Diagnosis is reasonably good, but besides diagnosis and genetic data, there are many open issues in the other areas, no? And we also want to have an emphasis on environmental and factors, and also lifestyle factors, and it's very difficult to find common measures in that, no? And the omics is another